in. We've got a lot to talk about here before the daily close. We'll get into XRP, whether or not it's trying to signal a push up to 68 cents, what would have to happen, and we're also going to talk about the long leg doji that's been put in the shorter time frame here. So, well, not the shorter time frame, but we'll start in the daily time frame, and then we'll work our way in, and we'll talk about that in the immediate short term within this live. If you are watching, I greatly appreciate each and every one of you who take the time to watch. It does mean a lot to me, and I like to have the active discussion. So if you're tuning in, thank you all so much. Please hit that like button so that it can help push us through the algorithm and the analytics. And I did notice before we went on, I want to thank everybody for the 19,500 subscribers as we hit that today. So if you do watch this, when I put out these lives or the shorts or just the updates, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well to help advance the audience. Devin, welcome in. Matt Holden, good evening. Jorge, welcome in. Omar, Chat, The Gatman, Messi, CJ2 Pilot. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll talk about XDC as well, because XDC did have a little bit of a move. Mark, good evening. Chat, welcome in. Alan, good evening. Moza here, good evening. Everyone, hi everyone, please support Tom and hit like. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Mo. I appreciate that. So let me timestamp this very quickly. Good evening, 5:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, December 27th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. As a lot of you have said, it never is sunny here. It's always gray. I mean, it kind of feels like that the last, couple months here. But I've had a lot of people comment that, so I agree. I thank everybody for tuning in. I do. I think it's an important day today because we've had a reverse rally. But what exactly's happened? Has it been anything more than we had a consolidation? And now what? We've had two consecutive long leg dojis here. If we break it down in the 4 hour, that means we're very unstable here. We're volatile. We don't know what direction we're going to go. Typically, it goes in the opposite direction that it was going. But in this case, since we've had, 3 days in a row with smaller forming dojis, it's going to be interesting. I have a better look on this if we go into this chart, because it really does depend if we get in past that short-term broadening wedge, and that would determine whether or not we're going to continue going up out of here and try to push that 68 cents, or it would be done. We still have room. We will have a little bit of room in the RSI here still, especially in the daily. I know when it closes, it's going to look a little different. But here's the 2 hourly I was talking about. If this were to pull back down, this would technically, if it comes back down towards the 634 area, this would technically close like a long leg doji. It doesn't look like it yet, but if you're asking me, I think it would bounce back down here just a tiny bit. Try to hold that 52.62 on the RSI trend line and have the price action hit it bullishly and see if we can continue out of here. That's what it seems like it might do here. Does it have to? No. But the 1 hourly suggesting it's out ahead, and that's what's happening. But you don't really want to come down much further than that. Otherwise, it's an overall correction that could happen all the way back down here. As everybody knows, yesterday I was hoping, even though it was suggesting otherwise, because we diagnosed the bull flag here, we were hoping yesterday, or I was hoping, that it would just break down and double bottom here, clear out the rest of that RSI, and then pull up. Instead, we took the, I don't want to call it the bearish route, but this is just going to leave us having to get more clearance here when it comes to the relative strength index, and that could be an issue. We're showing a reversal candle now in the 2 hourly. Did that happen right after I was, yep, see? It literally happened right after I was talking. I'm like, what happened with that 1 hourly? It looks different than the two. This is exactly what I was saying. If it pulls, didn't we just say this? If it pulls down here just a little bit, it'd be a long leg doji and a reversal candle. I believe I just said that right before that happened. So at least we know we're on the right page. 34 people hit that like button, 53 people watching. Please make sure that that like button is, it will greatly help push us through the analytics. I can't express how important that is. If you don't want to do that, you can always send a YouTube super chat, which I haven't received any of those in a little bit, or join Tom's Army to pay it forward. Either or. But it's very easy to hit that like button. Now, if we do come back down below this 5.9 or the 634, that is the area that we could signal a sneaky push up to 68 cents if we can hold the outside of this broadening wedge. This is within the bull flag, but this has to be completed to continue on. And then obviously have the rising channel resistance that started in June of 2022 at 55 or 65.3 cents, which we got rejected on the first time around, right around that 65 level. So that's what we'd be looking at if we could hold this. Right now, though, it suggests that we could have a correction coming in this next daily. This 2 hourly is a long leg doji, signifying our pattern is topping out. So let's see what happens at 7 o'clock. This is going to be a very volatile swing after the daily. But right now in this 2 hourly, it's not really going to move much. We're going to be stuck around the 634 to, let's see the range. We can come up with the range right now. Probably won't go any higher than that 637 area. And if it does this properly, it shouldn't come down any lower than about 6.4 or 6.3. Around that 6.33 area if it wanted to squeeze it all the way down. So if it comes up to like that 6.38, 6.39, it would turn green. So just be aware of what's happening here because we're out in front of it right now. But if we lag a little bit in what we're watching, you know, it could be interesting. So that's what I'm looking at. That's why that broadening wedge is so important to me right now that we diagnosed it on before that move on things around Christmas. And now we'll see what happens here playing forward. Before we go into the XRP market cap, I just wanted to take a quick look to see what's going on in the XRP world. I don't know if anybody's seen any interesting news today. But I haven't really... Oh, okay, look at this. Terry, welcome in, love. I'm glad to see you in here. Glad to see you in here. Let's get one ready real quick. Yeah, we probably should. I did not bring one out here, but I probably should have, and I apologize for not. I can go inside once I get to a strategic moment here to grab some, but, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see how the flow goes, and we'll see if everybody hits that like button. We're really slacking. But this is some news today. Ken, welcome in, and I love seeing you from the UK. Aussie, good afternoon, or good evening. Anthony Venegas, welcome in. What's going on, my friend? Nothing much, nothing much. Alan, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm just trying to fit in my lives this week because it's been a little busy, obviously, with Christmas and yada, yada, yada. But yeah. It's an interesting time to be alive here. Matt Holden says subscribe to if you haven't. Almost 20,000, Tom. Congratulations. Yeah, we just hit 19,500 today. It's incredible. So let's read what this says. This came out on December 27, 2023 at 1739 hours, which is what, 5:39 GMT. Something like that. I don't know. 1739 hours. So Binance announced Ripple USD listing on the exchange. XRP price remains above 60 cents. XRP price failed to breach of 64.4 resistance for the second time in the past 2 weeks to trade at 631. The broader market cues are witnessing a slowdown in the bullishness but are sustaining above the 60 cent mark. Binance announced the listing of new trading pairs of Ripple and other altcoins with USDC USD coin. That's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear that USDT token. We want to hear the USD coin. That's United States digital currency. That's backed by the US dollar and government bonds. So whether it's good or bad, it's at least backed by the paper shit that it's made of. With USDT, it's backed by nothing but its own tether, and that's going to be one of the ones that falls in the very near future, unfortunately. And when it does, that's going to be maybe what brings in this whole 95% of tokens go away would be the collapse of tether. Personally, what I'm rooting for. It's going to be a bitch, though, when it happens. XRP price is witnessing consolidation, making minimal growth since the 19% crash of mid-November. External factors are... That's not a crash. That's a correction. Typical. External factors are not contributing much either, given Ripple has remained largely away from any kind of rally, even as Binance Spot listed a new XRP trading pair. Ripple reaches Binance with USDC. So, in a blog post on Wednesday, the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance announced that it would be opening trading for 10 new crypto pairs. These include assets such as Ripple, Cardano, Avalanche, Solana, etc. These altcoins are paired with USD coin, as we talked about. It'll help attract liquidity, hopefully buyers, and yada yada. The price could rise. XRP price trading at 631 has been moving sideways for the past couple of days, remaining in consolidation mode within the 60 to 64.4 range. The bullishness that has been at a halt since mid-November is yet to resume. This is evinced from the failed breach of resistance level in the last 48 hours, suggesting Ripple might continue the sideways movement until a significant development takes place. For now, the best bet is in the new year hype of the upcoming spot Bitcoin ETF exchange traded fund approval. These events could drive the price beyond the 64.4 resistance level, potentially flipping into a support floor to push it further towards 70 cents. But if the breach fails again, the bullish thesis would be invalidated, and XRP price will remain sideways bound until whales and bulls take control of the market. So that's some stuff with XRP and Binance. Always good to stay on. Yeah, I don't read the settlement with. I don't read any of that nonsense, Terry, when it comes to the settlement. There is no settlement. The next chance we have is in April of 23 when they get together and try to discuss some kind of deal. Other than that, everybody's going to try to sell you a bill of goods so they can get viewers. I'm not interested, and if nobody wants to watch me, that's okay. I will watch myself. Let's see. And as long as somebody's watching you, are you really alone, even if it's just yourself? No. I mean, you could be. I might have to create my friend Bob. Wow, Tom, you son of a bitch, always give me a cheap shot. Not today. But I wanted to look at the Bitcoin ETF. Nope, zero reason to settle. So the Bitcoin ETF, as everybody's been talking about, and then we're going to go back into the charts, though, but I just wanted to see if anything else has been said. So spot Bitcoin ETF could result in millions of unbacked Bitcoin, and an analyst says spot Bitcoin ETFs may take people further. Here, I'm going to play it like this. I can multitask this way.
Potential approval.
So I'm going to play it like this. I'm going to turn off my my camera just in case one of the kids walks by, but I'm going to, well, they're not going to walk by, but in case Julie walks by. And I'm going to get the relaxation, so if anybody would care to join me. I know we're not going to have a huge popping audience tonight because XRP is not in the most bullish of neighborhoods, but get all the information while you can, and we'll get XDC after we listen to this and when I get my relaxation ready. XDC is doing fantastic. As you know, we bought that together at 2.8, so it's looking great. I'm very excited about XDC, XLM, and XRP, I mean, the 3 X's, so I'm glad some of you have been paying attention to that. So let me turn this off. I appreciate the 52 people that have hit that like button out of the 56 people or watching. And I do appreciate everybody who pays attention in these high times when it doesn't feel like it's going so great.
Approval of a spot Bitcoin, BTC, exchange traded fund, ETF, in the United States will trigger fundamental problems related to the original vision of Bitcoin by the anonymous creator Satoshi Nakamoto, according to one analyst. The concept of a spot Bitcoin ETF, an investment product that tracks the price of BTC by holding Bitcoin, conflicts with the idea of self-custody, according to Joseph Tech, a Bitcoin analyst at the hardware crypto wallet firm Trezor. Unlike a Bitcoin ETF, self-custodial crypto storage solutions allow users to own Bitcoin by taking full responsibility for holding the private key, or the actual assets. In principle, spot Bitcoin ETFs take people further from self-custody and potentially introduce a systemic risk, as ETFs will be safer on the surface than exchanges, Tech said in an interview with Cointelegraph. One possible consequence of spot Bitcoin ETF approval could be that large quantities of BTC would be stored in central locations where the government could seize it, the analyst said, referring to a scenario seen with the confiscation of gold in the United States in the 1930s. Tech added. And while a spot Bitcoin ETF would make exposure to Bitcoin price movements more accessible to individuals and institutions alike, simply buying Bitcoin through conventional means would offer the same exposure. Do we really need ETFs for this? Another significant issue with a spot Bitcoin ETF is that ETF holders will not have the option to withdraw the underlying asset. Instead, these assets are held in aggregate by the ETF itself, which raises the possibility of the unchecked issuance of paper Bitcoin, not supported by actual Bitcoin, the supply of which is capped at 21 million coins, Tech noted. The analyst stated. The result could be the creation of millions of unbacked Bitcoin, which would distort genuine markets and depress the value of real Bitcoin, all while handing greater agency to the giants of centralized, traditional finance. The very antithesis of Satoshi's original vision. Tech's remarks on self-custody versus spot Bitcoin ETFs flag a potential downside amid the growing optimism on the market, with various firms and analysts expecting U.S. securities regulators to approve a spot BTC ETF in January 2024. Related, ARK's Cathie Wood sees short-term effect of spot Bitcoin ETF as sell on news. Not everyone has been optimistic about spot BTC ETFs, though. Arthur Hayes, co-founder of crypto exchange BITUNIX, believes that spot Bitcoin ETFs could completely destroy Bitcoin if they are too successful. If not Bitcoin, such ETFs will likely compete with centralized crypto exchanges like Coinbase, as ETF fees are expected to be lower than those on exchanges, according to some Bloomberg analysts. According to quantum economics founder Mati Greenspan, there is no direct conflict between self-custody and spot Bitcoin ETFs because retail users will stick to self-custody. Personally speaking, I would never buy any sort of paper IOU forms of Bitcoin, but that's because I have the option of self-custody, Greenspan told Cointelegraph. Most institutions don't have that option, he added. There are zero advantages and plenty of disadvantages for retail investors to hold Bitcoin ETFs. Way better to just hold Bitcoin, Greenspan stated. Magazine.
Okay, so I wanted to play that so there wouldn't be any dead air, and it's good information. Now, let's go take a look at XDC as we're about an hour and 8 minutes until the daily close. XDC is up 13.71%. We're up at 0.552. So this is yet another one we've one bagged here, ladies and gentlemen. So whoever bought it with me at 2.8, congratulations. Because I get a lot of slack from a lot of people that are not used to our platform or what we do here. And they just assume we only hold XRP, which my XRP is getting close to a one bag as well. I bought it at 34.6 with anybody who wanted to buy with us. We bought every single thing you see on this list. Every single thing except Bitcoin, Ethereum, and IOTA right now. Because it's very hard to buy in my region, especially in the state of Michigan. It's pissing me off. And I kind of blew it on that one. So I could have very easily took out a futures trade in the USDT at like 10, 11 cents. And I that's what I should have done. I know it was risky, but at least I could have put like $500 exposure at like a 5X, and I could have been like throwing 2,500 into it. And that's my own fault. But that's just me. So yeah, that one hurts. But everything else you see on here is on this list. But XDC, and Julie holds the Doge. You guys know the story about Doge. She's exited she was one of the ones who had it at multiple zeros in front of it. Sold it out on the Saturday Night Live at my advice. And then I held on to the money because she trusts me. And I bought it back when it came all the way down to just about 5.5 cents and sent it back to her. So she is very happy, and she got 99% of her profits already. And got more than she had before. So XDC up 14%, a fantastic day. We have all good days here. And ladies and gentlemen, I know some are saying we have to break the resistance. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Let's not get excited. We broke short term, but we have not. I've been very diligent with XDC, and it is off right now. I don't know why the top went up like that. You can see it pulled off the wick, which happens sometimes. Sometimes when I move my charts around, or I'm clicking so fast from one to the other, I'll pull up on one of them and I have to fix it when I go back. But that's what we're looking at. We're getting awfully close. Because we move farther down in the pattern, we're not going to have to come all the way up to 575. So let's adjust this to where it's at for today. And we'll give it a little bit of an overextension here. I'd like to be like this. Just there's reasons why. I know it's like, well, why do you have to be so perfect on this line? It's just because. So 5466 is what we're trying to break. This would break out of a very wide formation. And if we look at this, I mean, you can talk about how long this took to break past here. And I'm just going from the back where we started the uptrend, because you can take this all the way back, and this is what it started forming here. And if you take it from the top wicks, even from the... So basically, let me get rid of all this. I know it gets confusing. Whoops. It gets confusing. Terry, I'm going to fix this for you. We're going to fix this together. How about that? We're going to fix this together. And yes, the reason why I thought that this was relevant, and now that it's moving up, it might just be harder to see. I'm going to fix that. But I thought, let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of this because I don't need to show the flag. I don't need to show what it's forming. Let me get rid of this. And the reason I thought this was important right here is because you can legitimately extend this back, and that becomes the start of, well, I don't want to go that far back. Then people are going to be like, well, where the hell is he going? That can start an uptrend. Like, you have an uptrend, and that's off a little bit. Got to connect the back there. Almost. There we go. So, and then it's going to use this as the support. So we'll run through that consolidation. But that is what we're trying to do. We could always connect this and be like, oh, we're in a falling channel, Tom. I know. But if we break this formation, you could say, oh, we're going to come down. And sure, we could. Because that's exactly what would happen. How about that? Right? And then you could just say, well, whoops. Well, Tom, it's a bull flag consolidation. And I would say, yes, it is. I'm glad you were paying attention. And that's what makes me happy when everybody's paying attention and we can have these discussions, even if I'm just talking to myself. One half of who I'm talking to you is the audience because I have a written database in my head of what everybody says. So it's like an algorithm. The more you show up, the more you add, the more I have in my crazy brain. And I would dare say if we went into the 4 hourly, you'd probably have to take it up on the top here. You've got a wick there. I kind of like that. So if it fell down, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I know we pulled up a little. No, I don't like that because you know what? We're not allowed to just make it into our own image because we think it'll look better. We have to go down to the wick because what happens if it breaks down on a ferocious, pull down and then it doesn't materialize. And yes, I get very stingy about the way these look. There. I like that a lot. Something like that. I feel like if it breaks this, it's going to come down a little bit further, and we could come all the way down here. So XDC's got a chance here. XDC's got a chance. If it holds this newfound uptrend, it's got a real chance here. Does this make sense for XDC? I'm sorry that I took so long on it, but does that make sense to everybody? The RSI, we're going to go over this in a second once you tell me, because the RSI is something I've added for technical traders to help validate what we're seeing. Just like I do with the EMA lines, the 20, 50, 100, 200, it helps us see it from a non-biased perspective, from an analytical approach. So, I know somebody's got to say something. There's 71 people in here. I know somebody knows what's going on with XDC. Does this make sense to you or am I a quack? I don't care either way, honestly. Quack. Know what I'm talking about? It doesn't matter. All right, excellent discussion back and forth. So, Julie, either I bored everybody to death or they've all tuned out. Or they just don't know about XDC. Alan, yes, the gap, XDC is a huge sleeper indeed. The Gatman says, I like it. Yeah, I wish I could hold it, but Canada doesn't want me to. Yeah, there's certain ones. Yep. Yes, indeedy. That's why I say be happy with what you have and don't savor what you can't. It's just like in your own living situation. Don't be underwhelmed by what you have or what you own or where you live because of, like in my case, the house across the street is like 4 times the size of mine. Legitimately, the one you see in my videos all the time behind me is like, they split it into an apartment. And that is not indicative of the house sizes near me. You're talking like, Julie, how much bigger is that house than ours? At least twice as big as ours. That one across the street. Yeah, it's like 2 of ours on top of each other. It's crazy. But anyhow, so I don't get mad about the fact that I don't have, basically in my own personal life, IOTA is my very number one that I wish I could own, and it just, for whatever reason, it doesn't line up where I live, and it sucks. It says you can buy it, but not in my region, even on Uphold. So, I have a multitude of others, but nothing can replace it because it's in the Internet of Things, but I do what I can. So XDC now, ladies and gentlemen. Nice volume pickup here. Daily time frame. Let's take a look at the relative strength index real quick. At the end of the day in 59 minutes, just be aware. This will probably go from here at 57. It's hard to project. We're going to be somewhere probably in the mid-60s at least. Maybe it could come up a little higher. 4 hourly, we're way in the overbought now. See, this is what I was afraid of. See, we could come into overbought on the daily. This is going to get out of control here, and it's going to tell you a correction's needed. Overbought, way in the overbought. This isn't bad, though. Let me rephrase. This isn't bad, but we're starting to round the top. You can see it. See it in the hourly. We're getting into that severely overbought. You're going to end up seeing a correction here in the due time. We're starting to top here a little bit. There is no downside pressure yet in any of these candles, so we haven't started reversing yet. You can't see it in any time frame of reversal, but what you are seeing is the higher you go, we're starting to round. You can see it already. Guys, there is not really anywhere else to go here. You can go to 120, but you will very seldomly see it go above 100. We're at 97.7 in the 5 minute. This has got to give. I think we're starting to top here a little bit. Not for the entirety of the pattern formation, just we're going to need to correct here at some point. You can see what I'm saying here. And now, let's see where the logical correction would be. 30-minute time frame. And Terry, thank you for saying about how it looked as well. 519 would be the first area. We could do it in a more technical way instead of looking at the technical trader setup, because I like to do both. So in the 30-minute, you've got, but look how, this is what I'm saying though. If you don't understand a chart, if you don't understand how to use a chart, you can, even if you do understand how to do a chart, you can out bounce ideas. Like I can bounce this uptrend off of the 20-day. And look how close that is gonna, that's basically, that's how they come up with the EMA line though. They're getting these, they're coming up with the shorter time frames. Not saying they're using the 30-minute, but they're doing it from 20 days out. But this newly founded uptrend is going to tell us. And see how it lines up? If we break down the 20-day, we know it's gone bearish here in the short term. And if we get a rejection to that uptrend, we would know the same thing. That helps you validate what you already know. So the reason why it's important, you come from here, you come across. I know everybody says, Tom, it's not fair because you make it easy. And when I try to trade on my own, it doesn't look like this. It's the same argument in life. Somebody who can do something better than me, when they do it, it makes it look easy. And then when I do it, I'm like, this doesn't seem right. It's the same thing. That's why I say take a picture. It lasts longer than me being on live. So let's say this tops out. You've got your ascending bounce that if you don't want to come back to the uptrending support on the bottom, you hold the top. So you get this 528. 5288 to be approximate. You hold this, and you might be able to just clear enough out for the short-term bounce to finish up. It's going to be very, very difficult with where we're at to break out of 6-4. I'm calling it for what it is. We have broke out of the short-term pattern, so at least embrace that. Embrace the fact that you can cleanly say, even if you went this route, you broke over that. And I like it to look clean, so that's the downtrending resistance. So that's your end-all, be-all. If you're like, oh my God, I don't know where to put this. I don't trust the EMA lines, and I certainly don't trust my own uptrend. So if that's the case, well, God bless who's ever in trouble right now, and hopefully they're being watched upon. Amen to that, because I've seen a lot of this after the holidays, so who knows what's going on. Let's see. So, I mean, that's what I'm looking at, because if you don't hold that, then, I mean, look how perfectly, you could ride this all the way down. If you understand technical analysis, it's like your favorite video game or your favorite thing to do in life. If you like to, whatever. You can start the map, but I mean, look at the map. Remember what we came on and we were seeing with XDC? Now look at the roadmap. You've isolated it now into the extension zone. We have the extension. I put a poor extension on here, but we have the extension because somehow it didn't save when I moved it up. But it's so fun to start doing this, and you start drawing it out, and then you start to see it, and you're like, oh my God, I see a trade. By God, I see a trade, you know. So then you can just say, well, depending on if you're in the 30-minute or not, then you can see this. But is this really relevant? Not really. I'd rather just stick to what we were talking about. So you don't want to make it too hard. But now we have that downtrending support line, ironically. See what we did there? We're not trying to cheat ourselves. This was based in the 2-hour time frame. And now we've got a roadmap. So, yes, we've broken out of the first layer, but in order for this to have a continuation, which it's going to be impossible, look at that 2-hour RSI. Unless it corrects, we would like to see it at 586 and correct all the way back down here to 462. I know it's brutal, But if we did that, we'd have an immaculate breakout after. If we did this, break out, consolidate back down, then bounce out, or even consolidate through and bounce out, this is what you want for the big bounce. That's how you get big bounces. Big bounces. But you got to do it properly. So I spent more time than I anticipated on XLM because I love XLM. I mean XDC. But does that make sense? I'm going to like this relaxation. I did not know there was 96 people in there. Now, I give you all credit for your due diligence. I really do. Just make sure to hit that like button. About 20 more of you could hit that like button, and it will help push this through the analytics a little bit easier. It'll help this algorithm reach in a minute fashion like we like to hit here in the show. And not just that, we'll have more of our friends here each and every day if we do hit that like button. You can share this on social media to help push the agenda of our community, as I don't do any paid promotions, advertisements, or sponsorships of any kind, so you don't have to sit through and bash your head through the wall. Unless you are doing it because of what I'm saying, that's okay then. Other than that, if you want to trade XRP, in the video description below, you can always look at the ways I do it. Lowest spot maker fees, and you can long or short the market. Oh, you asked me last night about how to buy XDC. I am so sorry. I never told you. I bought mine, like I showed everybody, on Uphold. Uphold carries it for us in the USA. You know, just pay the little bit of an extra fee. You can buy it on a couple of the other platforms as well. It's just going to be harder with MEXC because you can't sign up in the USA anymore. But if you're a user, you can buy it in. But to send it over, it's a little difficult to get it to Uphold, but you can send it to your own wallet. But I bought it on Uphold. About 285 bucks, or 280 bucks, and some change with the fees when I bought it. So, but yeah, Uphold. I highly encourage you to buy it on Uphold if you're in the USA. Unless you find alternative ways, and then if that's the case, let me know and I'll research the exchange too. Like, the only other one I have down in there besides MEXC right now is BITUNIX, because they don't make you do a KYC. And, you know, and Uphold, I have the link in my video description. I just don't talk about it openly because you'll see it if you go in there, but their fees are higher. So I don't like to talk about the ones with the higher fees. I try to show you a way to get around some of the fees and do what I do to trade. So that's XDC, because in 2021 I wasn't as savvy. In 2024 I have the information I need. I was learning in 2021, but a lot of people laughed at me when I was asking basic questions. I wanted to know the truth. You ask the basic question, if you have an audience, you get a bunch of different answers. You can kind of figure out what the truth is within, where it lies within. But a lot of people would ask at me, and that's when I started the whole thing. Never be afraid to ask a question. The only stupid question is the one left unasked, and I truly believe that. Yeah, me too. Me too, Devin, and a lot of people don't understand they charge those fees because they don't have an exorbitant liquidity pool, because they don't have any of their own technical Uphold stablecoin styles. Like how Binance had their own token and had fake liquidity. They're not allowed to have that fake liquidity. Look, read between the lines with Uphold, everybody. They pass out bullion. They sell it and deliver it to your door. I wouldn't advise doing it that way because there's cheaper options. But that's why they have to be on these strict rules. XLM, unfortunately, has got a reversal candle here. It's in its best interest here to reverse down and retest these areas. I wish XRP, I wish XLM would have just came down and retested these lower supports. The RSI today would be well into the oversold under 10 right now. It would be prudent for a breakout tomorrow on the daily. But unfortunately, because we took the resistant retest route, we're going to be coming into these far overbought areas at some point. And to the fact that the 2 hours is even telling us, oh boy, we could be ready to dump off before it gets out of control here. 1 hourly's already started, 30 minutes even farther along. We're breaking down the 20-day. The fact we're below this downtrending resistance tells us everything we need to know. We've got the pattern mapped out. And Terry, are you still here? Let me know if the XLM one's easier to read with me doing it like this with the short-term pattern, and then it engulfed in the higher time frames within the long-term pattern, just to give you an easier view. I think it's a lot easier to understand instead of having the whole validity of the width. And then I can break it down into smaller segments. That's why I've kept it into the 4 hourly and predominantly the 2 hourly today, because it's the most important time frame. Alan, no problem. I'm so glad you were here while you could. You've got the important parts. I must be honest. You've gotten the important parts of this update or this live. It's been 35 minutes, but I think it's been our best live we've had since Christmas. Well, that's not saying much, but the best live of maybe December. No, I can't say that. We had some fun lives because of the birthday live and such. But how about the best random Wednesday live we've had all December on a Wednesday? Yeah, that'll work. What else? So yeah, if you're a futures trader, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, pay attention. You would have to have some balls, or, you know, you would have to have grotesques here. But you'd have to put the stop loss up above this wick at 13.4. You put it above 13.4. If you do a 10x trade, that's an 18% risk. If you bet $1,000, that's going to cost you about 180 bucks. If you bet 500, it'll cost you about 90. If you bet 250, it'll cost you 45 bucks. But if it bounces out of to the downside, your minimum profit out of this would first be 21.9%. And then if it actually carried on and we had a full-blown retracement, which would likely bring you maybe into the 4 hourly, but it's hard because it could very well, the deck of cards could fall here. So it could be limitless because it could end up bringing us way back down here in due time. And this could be the resistance here. And then you'd be looking at more of, you know, a bigger retracement. But right now, it's basically it's a pretty even trade. Because you're looking to see if this would retrace, but that's a long leg doji. And the only reason you'd put it over the top here, just in case, is because if it did break up, you wouldn't want to get caught. But still, that's just from a technical standpoint. If I was making a trade, like I always tell everybody, I'm comfortable enough to be in until it's going to pretty much force me out. I'm not going to let them liquidate me, but I'll give myself 50% of room if I think I'm right. Believe it or not, the 12-hour trade I told everybody about XRP's long, that we talked about on Christmas Eve when we got together, it was like 11:30 at night. My trade was down like, remember the quick liquidity spike or liquidity grab it had, and it went down to it was like 62.4 middle of the night and went all the way down to 612 or 609. You know, that's where you have to understand the formation. So I kept it under the structure by a lot. My get out of jail was 596, so I gave it a lot of room, and then it ended up making that rally up. So you've got to understand your risk tolerance. I'm going to tell you one other time too, if you're ever going to approach something like that, you never take it out of your main stack. Otherwise, you've already failed, and don't do it. You never take from your main stack. This has to be money that you're not using, period. And Mexi will let me copy trade. It's just a matter of if I would ever want to do that. And it would have to be selective. You know, like, hey, you know, this is how I'm giving the information, and you're just going to have to tag along. And if you want to see how it ends up, you could always copy trade. But that could happen in the future. They keep offering me it. I keep getting people who want me to do it, so it's easier to see mine. But that's not what I want to do. I want people who follow along. So anyhow, take the hidden cues right now. Understand what could be presenting itself. Same thing should be... XRP's already farther along. Yep, XRP's already done that retracement we're talking about. With XLM, XLM's just a little bit behind. And you can see XRP's doing this is what we need XLM to do. So pay attention. It can't, I don't want to say it can't happen in this candle, but the fact that candles form in a certain way. Ooh, maybe it's starting. No, it's not fully started because the 2 hours still on a nice squeeze candle. Where are we at exactly? 13. Yeah, this is actually the closest you could get is 13.231 to that resistance line. We've already seen what XRP did. So, you know, if you try to look at what's happening, we've definitely got to, we'll see. But XRP's come down a little bit farther. Definitely got to clear some space here. Thank you, Terry, for telling me that. Yep, I have it for us if we want to look at it in the short term or the long term. I think it works out better that way. I agree. So now with XRP, we have to make a decision while we're together, friends. Because our time's coming to the near end here, folks, because I got to go help Julie been doing a lot of stuff inside. It's been pretty busy because we had 2 parties in a row at our house, and now it's one of those things. Yeah, so we're having our smoke, right? We're doing it right now. I just lit it. I just wanted to cover this last thing with XRP before I went into full-blown let's just talk and smoke it out. XRP, we're looking for a close over 634. It doesn't have to be today. I expect it not to be today. We have our daily candle close in 34 minutes. If we close above 634, that would show a sign of strength, and then we could always consolidate after. But I would love to see this RSI just take a big dump instead of going up, but because the more you go up, the more you're looking for a rejection instead of going down to support to look for a bounce. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of information here right now. The more we go up here as the RSI starts approaching this overbought, which it is, we wanted a pullback, and at least we got it before we got up there. We want these pullbacks. We want to clear out this RSI. We see a weekly reversal candle here as well. So we've had many of them. That looks like a bull flag in the making. So what I'm saying is if this does it properly, we could have a fantastic breakout to start the year. Boom, boom. If this does it properly, you should see us come back around like something like that, around that 60-cent mark. And it's not me being like, oh my God, I'm so bearish on it. No, I'm looking for the big bounce, ladies and gentlemen. But look at the weekly RSI. It's starting to form something here. If it can clear this last leg out of here, look out above, not below, above. We've got something brewing here. Look at that bull flag. If you can't see it, that's okay, because I drew it out myself. See, look at that bull flag. I mean, seriously, we've got something brewing here. So that's what I got with XRP. It really is. That's the best I can do with my update today. I put my heart, sweat, and tears into it. My voice is going to pay for it. Up 3.56% on DGB. Big reversal candle trying. It's trying to either make this last point of rejection up to 107, or it's got to clear out because the RSI is out of control here as well. We're in the overbought in the daily. It has enough to move up to there and then come back down. So it's either going to come up here and then come back down to 948 for support, or it's got to come down here. If it breaks down, it's coming to 842. Very easy to diagnose if you know what you're looking at. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance looks like it's about to reverse, ladies and gentlemen. So if what we're reading correctly in the altcoins, if we do get a correction like we're hoping for, RSI cleared out beautifully. Look how in the oversold this is now in these smaller time frames. Pay attention. We're in the oversold, and eventually we're going to rotate back up, and I think it might just mean a retest at 53%, which would mean a nice retest of a double bottom like XRP at 60 cents potentially, or maybe 61. But it gives us a nice chance to consolidate, break down that RSI, and then have a push up after the Bitcoin dominance will get its rejection up here. So as it's going for rejection, we go for support. And then after this gets rejected, as this comes down to the broadening wedge at 49%, we have a mini alt season starting next year. That's what I'm looking for. If that happens, we're properly positioned. So Bitcoin looks like, though, it's building that same bull flag. So don't think that alts are just going to move up when Bitcoin dominance goes down. Alts are just going to move faster in that level than Bitcoin. But make no mistake about it, and don't be afraid of this pattern. There is zero question in my mind. Zero, non-zero, not a single iota of a doubt. Well, that's not what it is, because that is the wrong one of what kind of pattern we're here. And yeah, you could start here to make it look better. I don't like to do that. I don't like to do that. I like to do that. Well, maybe not. Maybe not in this case. We'll see what happens, because I'm in the 3-hour time frame. Okay, the 2-hour looks fine. I think we're still in a bull flag here. I think we're in a bull flag. And I'm not going to put out all these different things because we're in between two levels, but I think you can use your imagination. I don't want to FUD it up, but I think if you just pay attention to what's in front of us, whoops, we are in a bull flag. And we're breaking out of said bull flag, but we're still in the consolidation. We're just trying to, whoops, we're trying to hold. got the W. I mean, literally, that could be a big move up here. 47,000 is the technical target right now, if we hold. If not, back to here, my friend. So that's all I got for everybody. We're going to relax together, and then I'm out. I'm going to watch a little Peter Schiff with everybody, if you don't mind. There's some things I wanted to go over. Actually, you know what? It wasn't Peter Schiff today. It was Mike Maloney. He talked this morning. I'll go into it. Let me get it to the right spot. But he talked a great deal about money. And I've been trying to portray to my audience about money. So let's get there. We're relaxed. If you're looking to pay it forward to the program, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and join the other 19,500 subscribers. Or you can always send a YouTube super chat or join Tom's Army, as there was no donations tonight. But that's not what makes the best of this community. There's been a lot of likes tonight. We've had 101 likes, which is impressive. Most of you will leave, but to the ones who stay, pay attention.
Here where you explain this all and the winners. So this is why velocity matters. When a collapse in velocity, Mike, you have a great presentation here.
With a collapse of the currency.
Okay, so we're going to start here with the velocity of money. Where is this at? Right here.
Exactly what was unfolding from the 19th century leading up to...
So basically, we're going to talk about the breaking of money here. So I'm going to let them talk. We're going to relax together. And whoever decides to stay, make sure you follow Mike Maloney on YouTube. I learned a lot about him in the gold markets. He's on the bottom if you don't know. He's been doing this for many, many years. And he's one of the first people that ever got me to buy precious metals. So I think he does a fantastic job.
Back to the great taking, collapse in the velocity of money is exactly what was unfolding from the 19th century and leading up to the Great War. Within a few years, the Russian, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman empires ceased to exist. We have entire empires that ceased to exist, as did the Qing dynasty. The German economy was destroyed. Then followed the Great Depression, then the Second World War,
and
the slow collapse of the British Empire.
Enjoy the tequila.
No populations were unscathed. There were no winners. So this is why velocity matters. When a collapse in velocity of money happens, entire empires disappear off the map. It's a really big deal. So were there...
or were there?
Yeah, or were there? That's where I was going to next.
There were no winners, or were there?
Yeah, were there? Well, while there was widespread deprivation, selected banking interests took the collateral of thousands of banks which were forced to close, as well as of the great many people and businesses, large and small, the indebted. So when velocity is collapsing, anyone or any company or any country with debt collapses. And
what are we right now in the United States? This proves my point. We're the biggest debtor nation. We are a debtor nation. We don't produce diddly squat anymore. Nothing. Squadoosh.
The collateral that still exists, a house, a car, a building, whatever it is, that goes into the...
We don't produce anything that we can export like we used to. Let me put it that way. We can import because we print money, but when you can't print money, we can't import because we don't sell shit.
Hands of generally banks, because that's who is on the other side of the loan. And this happened in...
Creditor, right.
Yeah, massive quantities. So that's what happened back then, and I want to show what that looks like in a chart here. This is from the Great Taking. It goes from 1900, and I chopped it off here at about 1995. I'll show you the rest of it in just a second. But you can see velocity of money is falling. It's collapsing until about the end of World War II, and then it recovers again. So, Mike, when you look at this, what do you see?
Oh, I've made no bones about it. Any country that is used by that runs off of the U.S. dollar, at least is paired to it for their doing, yeah, they're in trouble. Anybody who's not part of the BRICS nations are in deep shit. So if you're not part of the BRICS nations, yes, this applies to you as well. Anybody part of the BRICS, they're going to adopt a gold standard of their own. And it's not going to be good for anybody who holds the dollar or has any weight in the dollar. So yes, I agree with that 100%. But I live in the USA, so I speak of the USA. I don't live anywhere else, so I don't speak of anywhere else.
Well, yes, I see that collapse into the Great War, and then World War I, and then from 1913 to 1918, you see that huge spike in velocity, and that also goes right along with the, this is US velocity. That goes right along with the Federal Reserve, the inception of the Federal Reserve, and a bunch of printing, where the Federal Reserve Act didn't specify full backing by gold. It specified 40% backing by gold, which means for every $20 gold piece, they could now print $50. So they already had a $20 bill in circulation representing that gold piece, but now they could put another 20 and a 10 in circulation that came out of nowhere. It's fractional reserve central banking. And then the further collapse, causing the Depression of 1921. And then we've got the Roaring 20s where it sort of goes along stable, and then you get to 29 and you look at that collapse, and that collapse went along with a collapse of the currency supply. I've read Milton Friedman's Monetary History of the United States from 1867 to 1963.
Okay, so I'm going to call it a night tonight. If you enjoy this, we can continue this video later. Make sure you follow Mike Maloney. Continue watching that. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you appreciate me, make sure you hit that subscribe button.